4 stars on the chest represent a century of organizational dominance. For decades, the German national team operated as the gold standard of international football, a machine built on technical reliability and a refusal to break under pressure. By late 2023, that reputation faced its most significant test. As hosts for the upcoming Euro 2024, Germany wasn't merely preparing for a tournament, they were attempting to prove they still belonged at the summit of the game. The setting was Wolfsburg, an industrial powerhouse of a city, hosting an international friendly in September that carried the weight of a competitive final. While later reports incorrectly labeled this a 2026 World Cup qualifier, the actual stakes were immediate. This was the final dress rehearsal before a home tournament, and the German side needed a convincing performance to silence a growing chorus of critics. Instead, the home crowd watched a total collapse. Japan walked out of Wolfsburg with a 4-1 victory, marking one of the most lopsided home defeats in German history. The scoreline reflected a gap in quality that was impossible to ignore. Japan didn't rely on fortunate deflections or refereeing errors. They methodically took the German system apart, piece by piece. This result forces a look past the final score. To understand this demolition, we must analyze the tactical failures that allowed a rising power to outthink an established empire. Japan thrives on high-speed offensive efficiency. They no longer wait for mistakes. They create them by forcing defensive lines into rapid, uncomfortable transitions. Yukinari Sugawara served as the catalyst for this aggression from the right flank. His positioning consistently forced Germany's first line of defense to drop back, opening channels to exploit. The green zones show Japan's success. As German fullbacks pushed forward, the wings were left exposed to Sugawara's runs. This isolated Nico Schlotterbeck, forcing him into wide sprinting duels. His absence frayed the structure, remaining defenders over-rotated, leaving the center open. Maintaining this synchronization at full sprint requires incredible technical discipline. Japan's attackers never broke formation, even as they accelerated into empty spaces. By weaponizing Germany's aggressive positioning against them, Japan used superior speed to transform an organized defense into panicked individual recoveries. While the wings provided the finishing blows, the match was decided by what happened in the center of the pitch. Japan utilized a compact mid-block to paralyze Germany's primary playmakers. Brandt and Gross found themselves surrounded every time they looked forward. This setup shuts down progressive movement. By positioning markers directly in the passing lanes, Japan forced the German midfielders to play sideways or backward, cutting the supply to the front line. This left Thomas Müller in a state of total tactical isolation. Despite his experience in finding space, the balls he relied on simply never arrived. Without a connection to the midfield, Müller became a passenger. He spent the match drifting between defensive lines, entirely disconnected from the German attack. The body language told the story. The German squad appeared disjointed, while Japan operated with a quiet, confident rhythm in total control. By severing the links between the midfield and the attack, Japan achieved total intellectual control, making the 4-goal outcome a logical conclusion. This victory followed Japan's 2-1 defeat of Germany in the 2022 World Cup. At the time, critics dismissed that first win as a statistical outlier, a moment where German complacency allowed an underdog to sneak a result. The 4-1 result in Wolfsburg removed the comfort of that excuse. A 3-goal victory on the road is the definitive evidence of a gap in tactical execution that no amount of historical prestige can bridge. Japan's success is the visible result of a long-term strategic blueprint. They have spent years refining a style of play that prioritizes collective movement and rapid transition over individual stardom. The implications for the international game are significant. Modern football has reached a point where legacy teams can no longer rely on their name alone to intimidate opponents who possess superior tactical discipline. Japan has now established themselves as a proven elite side. Their ability to repeatedly dismantle a top-tier defense suggests they have moved into a category where they are expected to compete with the world's traditional powers. Looking toward the 2026 World Cup, Japan enters as a legitimate threat to any team in the bracket. They possess the structural tools necessary to outmaneuver even the most experienced defensive units. The 4-1 scoreline was a signal that the landscape has changed. In the modern game, tactical intelligence and raw speed have become the great equalizers against historical dominance.